You know the drill. We've got a nice stack of dollar books to look at. Check it out. Hey everyone, and welcome to today's video. Before I get to the main part of the haul for today, I want to show you first 3 single issues that I picked up on a separate occasion. These are books that I picked up just while traveling for other reasons, and I was able to find a local comic shop and hunt through their back issue bins. First is this copy of the official handbook of the Marvel Universe, issue number 5, covering letters H through J. This is from the first volume of handbooks that came out in 1983, I believe, and ran for 15 issues altogether. And just a type of comic that I love to pick up, these reference type books where you get character bios, their strengths, their weaknesses. I don't know if it tells you things like first appearances or not. I think it's more kind of in continuity type information. So for example, you've got Invisible Girl, you've got real name, occupation, identity, legal status, former aliases, place of birth, blah blah blah, origin, all that kind of good stuff. So it's kind of like in-world information, not so much our world looking at the comic book universe, but very cool to be able to flip through these. And this issue represents the final issue that I needed to complete this entire volume. Actually, I think I have both this and the volume 2, which was I think called like the deluxe or expanded edition, and got all that plus some of the 89 edition, all those kind of things. So I'm really close, if not completely done with collecting all of these. One of the cool features about them is that all or most of them had these cool wraparound covers, and I think some of them were even connecting covers. Like you could see how Iceman kind of gets cut off here. I wouldn't be surprised if issue 6 continue that on. I'll have to check that one after I'm done filming, and maybe I'll insert a little clip if I can verify that for you. But love the wraparound covers, love the reference books, and love it when I can complete a series. Okay, it's not immediately obvious because the background color on each issue changes and the images don't line up exactly, but there is a connecting thread through these covers, and I'll just show you the 4, 5, and 6 to tie out with the issue that I picked up. So here's issue 4. You can see Havoc's leg, or his foot, is on issue 4, and then 5 continues that image there. Same down here. This boot doesn't line up exactly, and we do kind of not get the rest of this image here, this character on the back cover here, but it is generally a connecting, and then, or intended to be connecting, I'll say that. And then you go over here from issue 5 to the back of issue 6, same thing, where you get kind of a little piece of a foot connecting in here. See if I can line that up. And then Iceman doesn't line up exactly. His arm kind of got dislocated there, but the intention there is to have a connecting cover. Very, very cool. Now, both for the connecting cover and to be able to complete that series, it would be cool to see all of these lined up in one long image, or maybe that exists somewhere as an entire single image. But I don't know. If you've seen that, let us know. Another issue that represents the completion of a series for me is Avengers Forever number 3. This was a 15-issue tie-in series that kind of spun off the main Avengers title towards the end of Jason Aaron's run on this team. And so a lot of these issues, I think, kind of piggyback or kind of bounce back and forth between the main Avengers line and this Avengers Forever title. And there was an Alpha issue as well as an Omega issue, and they've even turned it into an omnibus now. But now that I've got this issue 3, I've got the entire Avengers Forever and almost all of Jason Aaron's Avengers run, which leads me to the next issue, and that is Avengers number 53. This was the Jason Aaron run, ran for a total of 66 issues, and this is now the second to last issue I need to complete this entire run. The one holdout right now is issue number 35, so the inverse of this, interestingly, and I think that's part of a Moon Knight story. But once I get that one, I'll have all of Jason Aaron's run on Avengers, both this title and then the Avengers Forever. And he also did some other one-shots and things like was the Avengers 1 million BC, where you had Odin for example, as one of the original Avengers from back then, and you had, was it their Star Brand and the original entity, the Phoenix, and some others there. But yeah, very, very happy to complete Avengers Forever and to be so close at completing Avengers. And then once I get that last one, I can finally complete reading the entire run. I've only read the first like 20 some issues of this run, so I got a long way to go to be able to finish reading that, but really nice progress with those 2 issues. Now we're going to get to the main part of the haul that I've got to show you today. These books come from a local shop here in the Twin Cities. The store is called Mind's Eye Comics. They are located in Burnsville, Minnesota, and they're actually in a mall store now. I think they've been there for a year, at most 2 years. They had been in a different brick and mortar location, but it was much smaller, and they were pretty limited to having mostly new issues and a very, very small back issue section, just because the size of their space didn't allow for much. Now that they've moved to the mall, it's a much bigger location, and the owner, Eric, has got some really cool ideas for how he wants to expand that business out, partnering with other local businesses. He does a lot of activity focused around local creators and doing creativity type classes with artists, you know, teaching kids how to draw and do things with comics and storytelling. So really, really cool, and he's really engaged with the not just comic books, but the local community. He held a couple of really big sales earlier this year where he sold thousands and thousands and thousands of back issues for just $1 a piece. He had all of the back issues in his normal store, but then he also rented the kind of the next door retail space, and he just filled that with long boxes, all of which came from his storage facility, because the store he's the owner of has been in existence before he was the owner. And so he's got storage units worth of backstock. And he said, you know what? They're not doing anybody any good in storage. So let me pull them out, fit as many as I can in the store spaces here, and sell them for $1 a piece. And he knew that some people would be buying them to collect them. Some people would be buying to flip them. And he didn't even care. He's like, hey, they're going to do more good out in the world than they are, you know, sitting in storage. So that was fantastic. And thanks to Eric for having such a tremendous sale. I did show you my haul from my first trip to that sale in a separate video. I'll put a link to that down below in case you want to go see that. But this was a second sale he held, same thing, and I went back and found a bunch more issues. So that's what you're going to be seeing now for the balance of this video. I was very happy to find a few more issues from Transformers during the IDW era. They held the license from, gosh, what was that, like 2000... It was the early to mid 2000s. Maybe it was like 2006, 2007. I don't remember exactly. I'll put it on the screen if I can, once I look that up and figure that out. And then they had it all the way till the late 2010s. And so they're the last ones to have it before Skybound, who is the current license holder publishing Transformers comics. But overall, IDW's time on Transformers, I really loved. I thought it was fantastic world building, great character development. And I have just about everything from that era, but I've said in previous videos that Transformers is my first love when it comes to comic books. And so this is a property where I'll just pick up variants. Try to focus on the variants that I like, not just get them to get them. But in this case, I did find some that I like. This first issue is Transformers Heart of Darkness. This is issue 4 of 4 for this limited series, and it tied into the events that were going on in the main Transformers series at the time. This is the A cover done by series artist Ulysses Farinas, I believe is how, or Farinas is how you pronounce their name. Here you go, yeah, Ulysses Farinas or Farinas. But that's a variant that I didn't have. Pretty cool cover with Galvatron and RC on it, so grab that one. This is Infiltration, one of the first limited series that IDW did when they had the license. Oh, and let's check the year on this one. This will tell us about when they started. This is 2006, so right in the mid 2000s is when IDW started publishing Transformers comics. I think this is the A cover. I'm not 100% sure, but it's one of the variants that I didn't have, so I grabbed that one. Then I got this C cover to issue number 3 from that same limited series. And then I got also issue number 3. This is the D cover to Infiltration. And then one last Transformers book. It's a black and white cover. This is the B cover to a different limited series. This is Transformers Stormbringer with art by Don Figueroa and story by Simon Furman. And this one was one of the limited series that took place like before, I want to say it's before the war that is consuming the Autobots and Decepticons in the present day. This is more like after the fall of the original Primes. I don't remember exactly, but it's a wraparound cover that's kind of cool, split between black and white on the front and then color on the back. But again, just a variant that I didn't have. So really happy to find just a few more Transformers books that I didn't have. Next, I'm going to show you this Klaus and the Crying Snowman. This is a one-shot done by Grant Morrison and Dan Mora. I love Christmas. I love Santa Claus. And so when I found out there was a fantasy-esque story or retelling of the Santa Claus lore where he's kind of like this warrior, I was all about picking that up. This was originally done as a limited series that was, I want to say, like 7 parts. But then for a few years after that, the same creative team, Morrison and Mora, they would do a one-shot that came out around Christmas time. And I think with this pickup, I have only 1 or 2 others that I need to have all of these. I haven't read all of them. I haven't read this one yet. But again, just that kind of fantasy genre of Santa Claus, looking really cool. Very different look and very different take. But there's cool wolves and, you know, look at this. Snowman's looking all tough there, but all these mythological creatures. And yeah, that's hard for me to resist. Very cool. And Dan Mora, fantastic artist. So really happy to have found that one because you don't see these terribly often and definitely not in the dollar bins. Not because they're super valuable, just there's probably not that many out there, and the people who have them probably hold on to them. So really happy when I can come across a Klaus book that I don't have. Next, we're going to go over to some DC with Superman Batman number 22. This is part of an 87-issue series that I am trying to complete in its entirety. But the nice thing about this series is that it's an anthology series, meaning that they bring in a creative team to tell a particular story arc, and then it switches up to a new creative team for the next story arc. And that makes it great for me trying to complete the run because I can really focus on those story arcs and I can read them as I complete them. So I don't need to wait till I have all 87 issues and then read the entire thing. The reason I would even do that is because I will forget what's going on in the story if I have too much of a gap between issues. But since I'm reading a chunk of story at a time, then I can just slowly work my way through this series as I build it out. And so what I'm trying to do as I fill in holes is to go from the lowest number that I need. And the lowest number that they had, there might be one issue lower than this that I still need, but this was the lowest issue that they had. This is number 22. Happy to find this one because I don't see it ever really in the dollar bins. Maybe because it's Ed McGuinness doing the cover art, or maybe because it's this bizarro cover for each of our heroes here. But either way, happy to have found it for just $1 at his sale. And this is a story, like I said, with art by Ed McGuinness, and the story is done by Jeff Lowe. But really cool to find that one. And then I also found issue number 65, which does break the rule that I just said before about trying to go in order. But I've never seen this issue before, and I thought it was a super cool cover. This is done by Dustin Gwynn, and I didn't know that by looking at it. I had to see his autograph down here and then check the credits inside, but thought that was just a really cool tombstone cover, and because I'd never seen that before, I didn't want to risk not finding it down the road, so I went ahead and grabbed that as well. Now we're going to come back to Marvel, and you're going to see 2 runs of 2 titles of 2 Marvel women heroes that I've been working on over a period of time, and they're both titles that I don't see very often in the dollar bins or at all, and I made really good progress on both of these titles. So I'm very happy to show you these next kind of sets of books. The first, as you might guess, is from Ms. Marvel. This is her series that started in maybe the early 2000s, late 90s. When is this? This is like 2000. Did I say 2008? Sorry, my glasses. When I have them on, I can't see close. When I take them off, I can't see far. Looks like that might be 2006, but that just might be so small for me in this current lighting. But yeah, so the 2000 is when this run was going. It ran for 50 issues in total, and like I said, I usually find 1 or 2 issues here or there occasionally. Sometimes they're kind of beat up, but I do try to hold out for the better condition copies. On this particular occasion, like I said, I got really lucky, starting here with issue number 28, 31, 32, 36, 37, 41, 43, and I know we've got some, relatively famous artists on these covers. I just don't remember who they are off the top of my head, so I'm not trying to remember as I go here. 44, 45, and because I love to find the bookend issues, there's issue number 50, homaging that very famous story of the death of Captain Marvel. And yeah, so now I have the first issue, the final issue, and a whole bunch in between. I still have several issues to go to complete this volume, but really happy with the progress I was able to make as a result of this dollar sale. I think there's like 10 issues here that I was able to pick up. And again, none of these were bagged and boarded at the sale. They've just been sitting in storage for a couple decades almost. And yeah, really happy to find these. The cool thing about them having been in storage, they must have been put into storage kind of by title however many years ago, because not only this title, but others like it. Nightwing was a noteworthy standout. His original ongoing series from the 90s, it was written, a good chunk of it at the beginning was written by Chuck Dixon, and Scott McDaniel doing the pencils in the early part of that. That's actually a run I'm working on reading through right now in compendium format. But I was so tempted because they had so many issues in a row at the sale that I wanted to go and pick those up. But I resisted. I didn't buy them. Again, just trying to be conscious of the limited space I have here in my comic book room. I'm near capacity, and I don't know, the day may come where I regret leaving those behind, but who knows? Maybe I'll get lucky and find them again someday, should I change my mind. But like I said, just lots of titles like that. They had a whole run because they were extra copies maybe from that didn't sell back when they first came out. So super fun, and kind of like a time capsule like that, like a comic book store time capsule, seeing their back issue inventory come out of storage and be available for sale. The other hero that I made some progress on with one of her runs was She-Hulk. This is a volume, I never collected this when it came out. I do have, it might be out of sight here, it might be, actually it's all out of sight, you can't see where I'm pointing, but just beyond the camera range here I have a bunch of my Omnis, and I do have one of the She-Hulk omnibus editions from, there were 2 volumes around this time, and I forget which one was which. One was a little bit longer, one was a little bit shorter, but whether they're issues I have in omnibus format or not, I still like to pick up these single issues when I can find them in good condition and cheap like this. So I grabbed issue number 22. This is during the Peter David run. 26, 34, 35, and similar to the Ms. Marvel, I got the final issue from this volume as well. Always like to cap it off, and now I just need to fill in between. Could take me a long time to find these because I don't see them all that often. So the fact that I could find, 5 or 6 here, 5, that was really substantial progress to make on a title like this. And that's a great cover on that final issue of that run. All right, we're in the home stretch, and we're going to round things out with several mutant-related books that I picked up. The first few are from a limited series called New Mutants Forever. This was a 5-part limited series, and as a result of this sale, I was able to complete the series, starting here with issue number 1. There's issue number 2 with an Arthur Adams cover, and then issue number 3. This is a variant cover, I think this is a variant. I'll have to double check that and let you know. But those were the issues that I still needed. I want to say I had a different cover of issue 3, but I wanted to get the standard cover. So maybe this is the standard cover. I don't know. Memory fails me. I'll put something on the screen to correct me if I'm wrong here. But regardless, I got all 3 issues that I needed, and now I have this complete New Mutants limited series. Somewhat New Mutants still related, character of Magic, who made her start there in the New Mutants. I grabbed this just because I love the character of Magic. Didn't even know what it was. It says X-Men The Return of Magic. Turns out it's a reprint of 3 different stories. It says collecting stories from X-Men Unlimited number 14, New X-Men number 37, and X-Men Divided We Stand number 2. I probably have at least 1 or 2 of those in their original format, but these reprint collected editions are kind of fun as well. You don't see them very often, so that was a fun little pickup. Then we go over to a few issues that were part of this Curse of the Mutants storyline that took place, I want to say, at the kickoff to the new volume of X-Men. By new volume, I guess that would be volume 2 of the Adjectiveless X-Men. Volume 1 started in 1991 with Jim Lee, ran for 207 issues. Then it was renamed to X-Men Legacy. That continued the numbering up to issue number 275. Then when the Adjectiveless X-Men started with a new number 1, it was this run here, and it started off with this Curse of the Mutants versus Vampires. This particular one-shot is a tie-in, and I'm really happy to have found it. Cover's okay, but one of my favorite artists, Chris Bocciolo, does the pencils here, and I think depending on who colors and inks him, it can really influence how well his art pops. And this particular creative team really pops well. Reminds me more of the time later on when he did a stint on Uncanny X-Men and when he did stuff with Wolverine and the X-Men. But I just love his character designs. I love his art style. Love the worlds that he's able to create. And this one-shot really does his art style justice, I think. And so really happy to get this one. I will always pick up Chris Bocciolo art, primarily on interiors, but then, of course, if I can get him doing a cover, that's extra awesome as well. But super happy to found this one, both because it's a tie-in and because it's got his art in there. Also from Curse of the Mutants, there was this one-shot, Smoke and Blood. Don't know anything about that one, but it's a tie-in one-shot. And then they also had this, which is a tie-in to the Curse of the Mutants, but it's a spotlight book. And I forget who the cover artist is now. I looked it up before the video. Medina? I'll put it up on the screen here for you to see. But like the cover on this spotlight issue, this is actually a collection of interviews with different creators. And so a fun little kind of one-shot, not a reference, but a kind of like an ad piece, I guess, if you will, where it gives you more behind-the-scenes kind of conversations with the creators about this event and X-Men and what was going on at the time. Love those kind of things. This was a really fun find. It's not a significant book, but sometime back I had found the first 3 issues of this Pixie limited series. I want to say it was at a quarter sale, and I'd never seen those before. And the best thing is when you can find all the issues all at once, because then your hunt is one and done. You can read it, be done with it, and not worry about filling in holes. Well, they had 3 of the 4 issues at that sale, and I thought, you know what, I'm still going to get them, even though I don't know if I'll ever see number 4. Well, boom, there it is. Number 4, finally found it. It took, what, a year or two maybe? I can't remember exactly when I found the first three, but always keep my eyes open, and there it was. This is a cover by Stuart Immonen. Love his art. And then the interior is story by Catherine Immonen and art by Sarah Pichelli or Pichelli. And so, yeah, really, really happy both for the creative team and for being able to complete that limited series. Then we've got one issue from the X-Men Unlimited series that I still am riding the fence on whether or not I want to kind of cave in and collect this whole thing in single issue format. Right now, I'm just focusing on covers that jump out at me, and this I thought was a really cool Jubilee cover. The artist on the cover here does also do the main interior art on the kind of the main story, but I just thought that was a cool Jubilee cover. This is issue number 34, and if I continue to buy covers that just jump out at me, eventually I'll get enough and I'll want to complete the whole thing. But for right now, I'm just kind of selecting individual issues as they come up. And then just one last book to show you, and it's a relatively recent X-Men related book. This is X-Force number 19. This is from the Krakoa era, and the significance of this book for me is that with this issue, I now have the complete X-Force series and run from Krakoa. That ran for 50 issues in total. Very different from the newest series of X-Force, which only ran for 10 issues, but really happy to have completed that 50-issue series, and now I have all the Krakoa era from that run. All right. Chaos is erupting in my house upstairs, so I'm going to say that's going to do it for me, and that's going to wrap up this haul from the Mind's Eye Comics store-wide back issue dollar sale. I do hope you saw something that you liked, and if you did, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. And if you want to see more content like this, then hit that subscribe and ring the bell for notifications so you'll know the next time I upload a video. Now, if you're not quite ready for the YouTube fun to stop, I have hand-selected a couple videos here for you to check out. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.